In the heart of Chicago, there's a historic hotel known for its old-world charm and luxurious interiors. But for as long as people can remember, there have been whispers about a particular room, Room 13. Hotel staff avoided talking about it, but guests who stayed there often checked out sooner than expected. One fall evening, Sarah, a young businesswoman visiting from New York, checked into Room 13. She'd heard the stories, but being practical and fearless, she brushed them off as superstitions. After a long day of meetings, she returned to her room, ready to unwind. Just as she began to doze off, she was jolted awake by a faint whisper near her ear. She sat up, scanning the dark room, but found nothing unusual. Thinking it was her imagination, she lay back down, only to hear it again, this time louder, more insistent. "Leave," the voice murmured, sending chills down her spine. Despite her fear, Sarah tried to ignore it, reassuring herself it was just fatigue. But as the night wore on, the whispers grew louder, echoing around her room. Unable to sleep, she turned on the lights, only to see a figure standing by the door. It was a pale woman dressed in old-fashioned clothes, her expression hollow and haunted. Sarah's heart raced as the woman pointed at her, mouthing the words, "Get out." The next morning, a shaken Sarah packed her bags and left. When she reported the incident to the hotel staff, they quietly listened, as if her story was nothing new. Sarah later learned that decades ago, a woman had died mysteriously in Room 13, and guests since then had experienced her lingering spirit. Moral: sometimes, the past clings to places, reminding us that not all souls find peace. Respect the unknown, for some presences may only want to be acknowledged. Lincoln Park is one of Chicago's most beautiful green spaces, attracting families, tourists, and residents alike. But few people know that it was once a graveyard, holding thousands of bodies. Most were relocated, but some say many spirits still linger among the trees and quiet paths. One summer night, Paul, a local college student, decided to take a late walk through the park. The air was warm, and the city lights glowed softly in the distance. As he wandered deeper into the park, he felt an overwhelming chill, as if he were being watched. At first, he tried to brush off the feeling, but the sense of being followed became too strong to ignore. Turning around, he saw nothing but darkness and the faint outline of trees. But then, from the corner of his eye, he saw a figure standing under a street lamp, a tall man in an old suit, staring directly at him. Paul's instincts told him to leave, but curiosity got the better of him. He took a cautious step forward, hoping to get a better look. But as he did, the man vanished, leaving only the echo of footsteps behind him. Panicking, Paul ran toward the exit, but the sound of footsteps followed him, getting louder and closer. When he finally reached the street, he turned around to find the park empty and silent. Shaken, he told his friends about the experience, only to learn that many people had seen the same man over the years, an apparition rumored to be one of the restless spirits from the park's cemetery past. Moral: even in places of beauty, history has a way of leaving traces behind. Remember that some spirits may be bound to the land, waiting for recognition or release. For years, Chicago's Red Line subway has carried thousands of commuters through the city. But some passengers have reported strange encounters on late-night rides, especially near the Wilson station. One such encounter happened to Laura, a college student who took the train home after a late shift at work. It was just past midnight, and the car was nearly empty. Laura sat alone, watching the city lights blur by through the window. As the train approached Wilson Station, she noticed a man at the far end of the car. He was dressed in an old-fashioned suit, his eyes fixed on her with an unnerving intensity. Laura looked away, hoping he'd leave at the next stop. But as the doors closed, she realized he hadn't moved, still staring directly at her. Trying to keep calm, Laura glanced back, only to see him standing much closer, his face expressionless and cold. She blinked, and he was suddenly gone, leaving only a faint whisper in the air. When the train pulled into her stop, Laura ran off, heart pounding, looking back to see if he'd reappeared. The next day, she recounted the experience to a friend who shared a chilling detail. Years ago, a man matching her description had been killed on the Red Line near Wilson Station, and his ghost was rumored to haunt late-night trains. Many commuters had seen him, always appearing and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Moral: places of transit often hold the memories of those who never reached their destination. Remember to respect these spaces, for they may carry more than just the living. In the city of Chicago, every place holds stories, some darker than others. These tales remind us that the past is never truly gone, it lingers in whispers, shadows, and unexplained encounters. Respect the unknown, for we share this world with more than just the visible.